Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world so flawlessly rendered, so meticulously detailed that every breath of wind, every flicker of light, every human emotion feels utterly authentic. Now, open them. What if that world isn't the fundamental reality we perceive, but rather an intricate symphony of code, running on a colossal supercomputer we can barely comprehend? This isn't just the stuff of science fiction. It's the core of the simulation hypothesis, a concept that has steadily moved from the fringes of theoretical physics to the forefront of philosophical debate. It challenges our most deeply held assumptions about existence, compelling us to ask, do we live in a perfect artificial world? The journey into this unsettling yet compelling idea begins not with a mystical revelation, but with cold, hard logic. The modern articulation of the simulation hypothesis largely stems from a groundbreaking 2003 paper by philosopher Nick Bostrom. His argument, deceptively simple yet profoundly unsettling, posits three possibilities for any sufficiently advanced civilization. Firstly, that almost all advanced civilizations become extinct before reaching a posthuman stage capable of running such sophisticated simulations. Perhaps nuclear war, ecological collapse, or some other unforeseen catastrophe consistently wipes out intelligent life before it achieves godlike computational power. Secondly, that any posthuman civilization that does reach this stage simply is uninterested in running a vast number of ancestor simulations. They might have other priorities, perhaps focusing on interstellar travel, pure scientific exploration, or internal societal development. This seems less likely, given human curiosity and the allure of understanding one's origins. And thirdly, and most chillingly, that we are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. Bostrom's reasoning hinges on the sheer scale of possibility. If posthuman civilizations are capable of creating vast sentient simulations, and if they have any inclination to do so, the number of simulated realities would vastly outnumber the single base reality. In such a scenario, the odds of us being part of a simulation become overwhelmingly high. Imagine a single base reality running billions or trillions of ancestor simulations. The inhabitants of the base reality would be an infinitesimal minority. But what defines perfection within such a framework? Is it the absence of glitches, the seamlessness of our perceived reality, or perhaps the very illusion of free will within a predetermined program? Beyond philosophical arguments, some theoretical physicists have pointed to peculiar aspects of our universe that might hint at its simulated nature. Consider the fundamental constants of physics. Values like the speed of light, the gravitational constant, or the mass of an electron. They appear incredibly fine-tuned for life to exist, almost as if programmed that way. A slight deviation in any of these values, and the universe as we know it, with its stars, galaxies, and life, would simply not exist. To some, this intricate balancing act seems less like a random cosmic lottery and more like deliberate design. Then there's the realm of quantum mechanics, the strange and mind-bending physics of the very small. Here, particles seem to behave probabilistically, only settling into a definite state when observed. It's as if their properties aren't fully determined until an observer demands a value. Much like a video game, rendering detailed graphics only when a player approaches a particular area. Could the Planck length, the smallest possible unit of distance and time, be akin to the pixels or the refresh rate of our simulated reality? And what about the peculiar phenomenon of quantum entanglement, where two particles can be instantaneously linked across vast distances? Could this be a form of data compression or information transfer within a simulated environment, bypassing the usual spatial constraints? Even the perplexing Fermi paradox, the apparent contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the lack of observable evidence, could be explained if our simulation is simply designed to be contained or deliberately empty of other complex life forms. Perhaps other simulations exist, but are simply beyond our observable universe. Or our simulator has chosen to focus its computational power on our particular cosmic experiment. While these are speculative, they weave a compelling narrative that suggests our reality might operate on principles akin to a grand cosmic algorithm. If our world is indeed a simulation, what then does perfection truly entail? It is crucial to understand that perfect in this context does unnecessarily imply a utopian existence devoid of suffering, injustice, or pain. Rather, the perfection of a simulation lies in its flawless execution, its ability to convincingly mimic the complexities of a real universe, including all its inherent challenges and moral ambiguities. A truly perfect simulation of a sentient civilization might require struggle, conflict, and a full spectrum of human emotion. Joy, despair, love, loss. To achieve its objective, whatever that may be, perhaps we are part of an incredibly sophisticated experiment in consciousness, or a historical simulation designed to understand the evolution of intelligence under specific conditions, the flaws we perceive in our world, the suffering, the seemingly random cruelties, might not be bugs, but features. There could be essential components woven into the fabric of this grand program, designed to elicit specific responses, foster growth, or provide invaluable data to the simulators. From their perspective, a simulation that accurately reflects the messy, unpredictable nature of reality is, in its own way, perfectly rendered. It wouldn't be a perfect world in the human sense, but a perfectly simulated world. The simulation hypothesis, while intellectually stimulating, casts a long shadow over fundamental philosophical questions. If our reality is a meticulously crafted illusion, what becomes of meaning and purpose? Does our pursuit of knowledge, love, and happiness become a mere subroutine within a larger program? Or does the very act of experiencing these things imbue them with an inherent significance, regardless of their origin? This profound questioning of meaning compels us to look beyond the superficial and consider what truly holds value. The age-old debate of free will versus determinism takes on new urgency. If our choices are merely the unfolding of pre-programmed algorithms executed with such sophistication that we perceive autonomy, do we truly have agency? Are our decisions predetermined calculations? Or can we, within the confines of this simulated reality, somehow transcend our programming? And what of the ethical implications for the architects of such a universe? Do they bear responsibility for our suffering, our joys, our very existence? What moral obligations would they have to the simulated beings? These are not equally answered questions, but they force us to confront the deepest mysteries of consciousness and reality, urging us to consider that the search for truth might lead us not outwards into the cosmos, but inwards into the very code that defines our perceived existence. Ultimately, the question of whether we live in a perfect artificial world remains one of the most profound and unanswerable inquiries of our time. There is no definitive evidence, no undeniable glitch that screams simulation. And perhaps there never will be. Proving we are in a simulation is inherently difficult, as any evidence we discover could simply be another part of the simulation itself. Conversely, disproving it is equally challenging. How can you prove you aren't in a simulation? But the enduring power of the simulation hypothesis isn't in providing a concrete answer, but in its ability to crack open our perceptions, to force us to question the very fabric of our existence. It's a grand thought experiment that encourages us to look closer at the world around us, to marvel at its complexity, and to ponder the nature of consciousness itself. It invites us to consider that reality might be far stranger, far more layered than our everyday senses suggest. Whether we are in base reality or an exquisitely rendered simulation, our lives are our own to live, to explore, to learn, and to connect. And perhaps that is the most perfect reality of all: the profound ability to experience, question, and seek meaning, regardless of the ultimate nature of our world.